Good morning. Good morning. Hi, friends. All right. So today I brought in some reinforcements. Listen, I told you that it's house sitter season. I'm telling you that house sitting is a wonderful way to see the world and get free accommodation. But you don't have to take my word for it. I brought in a very special guest. I'm going to introduce Tisha to you in just a second. But first, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a house sitter. I'm the creator of House Sitter School. I help Black women take a sabbatical, move abroad, bop around as a digital nomad, all of these things while embracing ease, while doing as little as possible. If this sounds good to you, please take a second, subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, please, and turn on notifications. Ring that notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post a new video or when I go live with a special friend. Welcome and welcome, special friend. How are you, Tisha?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Stephanie. I am so honored to be here. You and Rashida have changed my life in ways that you will not even imagine.
We're going to talk. Okay, we're going to talk about all of this. So Tisha, so if friends, meet Tisha Mitchell Curry. Tisha is here to talk about what her life looks like and how that's different from the way it looked just a couple of years ago, including the fact that she's had six house sits in, I think, less than a year, right? Just
Yes.
something of a storm. We're
Yes.
going to talk about all of those things. But Tisha, do you want to give us an introduction?
Sure. So my name is Tisha Mitchell Curry. I am here in Metro in Atlanta, Douglasville, Georgia, specifically. I've been here about 18 years, and one of the things that I learned in the pandemic is travel is truly my self-care.
Yeah.
It's where I go to reset myself and my life. And a couple of years ago, I have no idea how it came into my being, but I saw this advertisement for Exodus Summit, and literally it was like, oh my God, I've met my people. And so yeah, we'll talk a little bit about how that first summit really kind of has changed my life.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that. So Tisha is one of the people who has been has been a member of Exodus Squad for such a long time. I just told her. So when I was sending her the stuff, the link and everything, I was like, I know Tisha, and I was like, actually, I don't know Tisha. Tisha is a person who I don't know, but I feel like I know because I've seen you all over our Exodus Summit space, living and thriving, like thriving. Okay.
Yeah,
So if
yeah,
you, friends, if you
thriving.
don't know, Exodus Summit is a virtual summit for Black women who are planning a sabbatical or a move abroad or digital nomad life. We hosted Exodus Summit 2022 in October, but we have a Facebook group that is year round. If you're interested in joining community, as Tisha said, with like-minded people, like if you want to find your people, if this is what you're into and you want to find your people, come on over to the Exodus Summit Facebook community for Black women. I'm trying to scroll and find the link. It's exodussummit.com/community, or on Facebook, you can just look for Exodus Summit. I'll get the link to you on the chat later, or if you're watching the replay, hello friends in the future, it'll be in the description of the video. Okay, um, so you saw, I want to start with this because I've never asked anyone this. You saw the Exodus Summit advertisement, which said sabbaticals, move abroad, Black women. Had you already been planning to do more traveling and do some sabbatical things before the summit?
Actually, I hadn't. I know that we were, I think during the first summit, we were in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of on lockdown, and I wasn't really sure how travel was going to kind of re enter my space at that time. But I'm going to tell you this interesting fact.
Okay.
So during the first Exodus Summit, I was home. And during the next two, the second one, I was house sitting in Destin. And the third one, I was traveling again. So, um, it's been wonderful, right, to be able to be around a group of people that share what, my love of travel. So no, I hadn't even considered an exodus as a possibility. Like, so I remember, like, back in the day, I watched the movie Eat Pray Love, and I was like,
Yeah.
that ain't for us. Like, who
Ah,
would who would ever do that? Like, so the spark was there, the curiosity was there, but I had no idea how I could pull it together, right?
yeah,
So it's like one of those things where you see it and you just kind of put it to the side because you can't figure out how you can make that work in your own life.
that's right.
So with social media, I knew I was a traveler, and I knew a lot of my friends would say they were going to go and they just it wouldn't happen. So a young friend of mine actually was traveling, and I noticed that she had mentioned something, I think from Travel Noir, that she
Mhm.
was part of a bunch of travel groups. And I was like, well, tell me about that. What is that about? And so then I started like group traveling with strangers.
Oh,
And that was a way for me to see, different parts of the world without me having to do all of the research and figure out all the places I was going to go. It
yeah.
was like, here's where we're going, and we're going in 3 months. Here's the deposit. This is what you pay, and meet us there. And I think from that point forward, it was no looking back for me.
Yes. Yeah, that's a group travel is a wonderful gateway, right? If you are out here seeing people doing things and you're like, oh, but that's just a little bit too much, right? That's just a little bit
Hmm.
out of my comfort zone or a little bit out of my experience, right? Group travel, let them get you started. It's contagious, right? So let them
It
get you
is.
started, and then at some point you'll be like, okay, thank you for that, but I'm staying longer, right? So y'all
Right.
Y'all come, we can stay for 5 days, okay? But when y'all go back home, I'm still gonna be here. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So you're a real realtor in Atlanta, in the Atlanta area.
I am. I
And
am.
real estate to me seems like a life where you don't really get to live and do other things because you have to always be there. So how is this happening? How are you traveling and selling houses?
Well, that's how real estate has been traditionally done.
Right.
One of the great things about how I live my life is I'm also a real estate coach. So I also
Mm,
teach people how to live their life in real estate as well. So what I have found, and I think I gained specific clarity about it this year, is that I want to um, build my life around my travel,
yeah.
right? And so being a real estate agent and a coach and having a team, right, allows me to do that. So there's a lot of what I can do in real estate that I can do remotely from my phone, and from my computer. So I focus more on sellers. I do have some buyers, but focusing more on sellers, a lot of what I can do can happen remotely. And
Okay.
I also have team members that I can delegate specific tasks to.
Okay.
So knowing full well, like, so as we see house sits come through, I can kind of look at my schedule and say, what do I have going on at that time? And if it's nothing specific, then I can plan my life around that particular house at that time frame that I'm gone. And I'll let my sellers know up front. So for example, like one of my, I guess my wins is I closed in $1 million worth of real estate while I was in Las Vegas at the Usher concert. So,
No.
it's just been one of those things where once like once your why is there, you kind of figure out how you're going to make it work.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. So really, like you have to, it's easy to say this is if things are done this particular way, and so I have to do things this particular way, right? And you can go along with that, and say I'm going to put off the good parts until I'm retired, right? I'm going to put off no Usher concerts for me. My clients need, right? Or my kids and my family need me, or whoever. There's always somebody, right? None of this, and then maybe when I'm 65, he'll be doing a seniors tour. he'll be out, he'll be out, he'll be out, doing things, and then I can start living then. Uh,
It's funny that you say that because those particular clients, they had done their fourth deal with me. And I didn't tell them, when we went under contract that I was going to be out of town, but they kindly reminded me, oh, we remember because last time we closed on our house, you were out of town too. But you think it's going to have a major impact for them if you're not physically there, but they trust me enough as their professional to know that even though I'm not standing in that space, I'm still taking care of them. And
yeah.
so that has come just over time.
Good. I think a lot of ladies in the chat can take that message, right? That you set things up the way you want them to be. Don't set things up
Absolutely.
to be 24 hours on call in person, right? Today, if you don't want to be Ms. 24 hours on call in person in a month or a year. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Angela Rochelle, moving real estate while at the Usher concert. Yes, indeed. We live our lives. Yes.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, all right. So house sitting. Okay. Was I the first? Was I the introduction to house sitting? Was I the first person to let you know?
Abs. Yes, ma'am. I had never even considered house sitting as an option. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know how to even get started. But I think with that first Exodus Summit, you provided house sitting school as one of the perks
Yeah.
of being a house sitter. And I just plugged and played. I didn't reinvent the wheel. I
Mhm.
changed out my name for your name. I changed out the pet name for the pet name. There, like I just did what you said. That's it. That's all I did. And actually, my first house sit was local.
Uh,
It was in Georgia and it was across town. And fortunately for me, the gentleman who accepted me was once a house sitter
uh,
and had done it before. And he said he'd done some house sitting with his wife. He was divorced at that time. And he recognized that I hadn't had any reviews before, I hadn't done any house sits. And he called me and he said, well, you got to get started some kind of way. And he
oh,
took a chance. He took a chance on me. And it was a wonderful, wonderful space. And I still was going back and forth between his house and my house because I was doing real estate at that time. But I was like, I'm getting my first review. And it was a beautiful house
yeah.
and a beautiful dog. It was very peaceful.
That's good. That's good. A lot of house sitting clients have also done house sitting at some point. There's a lot of overlap
Hmm.
there. And they tend to be really generous people and kind people who are like, yeah, I'll help you. Let me help you out. I remember what it was like to try to get house sits without reviews. So that's wonderful. All right. I don't know if I'm
Oh
frozen or
no,
you're
I
frozen.
think my internet went down.
Okay, I can hear you though. You got that Georgia internet, girl. I've been telling y'all, okay? I've been telling y'all. I'm in Costa Rica with slow
Are we
internet,
stuck?
and Tisha is the one who is stuck. I've been telling y'all. Let's see. I don't know if she can see the chat. Tisha, I can hear you, but you're frozen. Let's see. I don't know if she can see that. I don't remember if she can see the chat. Not the must. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. She may disappear and come right back. So yeah, house. A lot of people who are house sitters, or a lot of people, not a lot. I don't know about a lot. I say a lot all the time, but some people who are house sitting clients are also house sitters. Let's see. And so it's not unusual for them to be like, I know what it's like, I'll help you out. Or
Let's
for
see
them to
if
be
I
like,
can.
I've been a house sitter before, so I'll give you some extra perks or something. Or I've been a house sitter before. Those are the people who usually let you use the car. Okay, welcome back to
Are
show.
you back?
Yes, back. Okay,
All right, good.
all right. So I was just saying that a lot of those people who have been a house sitter, when they become clients, they're extra nice. Do you remember, did he have sitter can use the car in his profile, that client? I don't think she can hear me. Can y'all hear me?
For that particular one, he did not have that.
Okay.
I was driving, so I used my own car, but I did one, the long one at the beach this summer, where there was a car available for me. Hmm.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, the people who have been a house sitter, this is again a stat I'm making up, a thing, but the people who have been a house sitter before are the ones who are most likely to say, sitter can use our car, or like ask you, hey, what do you want for, breakfast? Can I get you your first breakfast? Can I get you some coffee and some yogurt or whatever to get you started for the day? Yeah. Yeah. All right. And so you
Hmm.
went on.
Hmm.
I tell people a lot of times to do a local house sit so that they get some experience and get that first review. Did you think that was a good idea to start with the local
Uh-oh,
one first?
Stephanie, I feel like,
Let's see.
let me see if I could get you.
I'm just gonna keep talking because y'all know I can do that. Yeah, I always tell people to try to apply for local house sits, but what I don't say is that doesn't mean that you don't apply for the other house sits too, the international house sits or the Destin, Florida house sits. You still apply for the other ones too, but don't overlook the local ones. It really is easier for a local person to trust a stranger with no reviews. So go ahead and start that way. Yes, house sits are pet sits. Almost all house sits are pet sits. So house sitting is not going to be for you if you're not a friend to animals. It's not even like I'll tolerate the animal so I can stay in the house. House sitting is like I love animals. I'm going to stay and take care of this animal and get this free accommodation. Okay. All right. Yes, team hair twist. Team two strand. All right, team two strand. Okay, let's see. I don't know if Tisha knows it here. Let's see. I'm gonna remove, let's see, add here. I'm gonna remove her from here and add her here. Okay.
Stephanie, can you
Hi.
see me?
We can see you and we can
Okay,
hear
so
you.
I'm now connecting.
Okay.
I'm now connecting from my computer
Okay.
and not my phone.
Okay.
All right, maybe that's better.
You're gonna have to close out the phone, the app on the phone.
I think I did.
Okay, good.
Good.
Wonderful. Okay. We can hear you and we can see you. Welcome back. We could hear you the whole time, but you were just muttering a little bit. No bad words. No Rashida words.
Funny, funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was
No
your last
problem.
question?
No problem. I don't remember, girl. We just been talking. Okay, I just been talking. All
Okay.
right. So, you liked house sitting enough to keep doing it.
Yeah, so my thought process was, let me go ahead and just, get one that's close. Maybe it's not a place that I, would think would be wonderful, but I was focused on reviews. So
Yeah.
my thought process was, we're not going to be in a pandemic forever, and I'm going to want to go further away.
Yeah.
But, let me focus on getting these ones that are close and that are small so that, I can start to build, some reliability in my sits.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So yeah, let's go into this. So where have you been and where are you going?
So, my second sit was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and that one I was like, "Hey, I just want to go hang out in Fort Lauderdale," and that was fun.
Uh-huh.
And then I did one a few months later in Destin, and that literally was steps to the beach.
Mhm.
And then I did a couple of additional local ones. And then I kind of felt like I hit the jackpot this summer where I did a 3 week sit in Destin. And it was pretty amazing. The owner was a retired lady and she was going to visit her grandkids.
Uh-huh.
And she had plenty of reviews, and by that time, I had plenty as well. I actually went down the day before the sit started, and she and I had dinner together. I
Oh,
stayed in the house with her. We, just got a chance to get to know each other. She took
nice.
me around to kind of all the great spots around her little town, showed me where the public beaches were, where the private beaches were. Um, and I did on that sit, the first week I was there alone, which was great because it was a perfect reset for me.
Yeah.
And then the second week, she allowed my cousin to come visit me in Michigan. So
Oh,
we had a girls trip. Like we hung out and went to little bars and clubs and had dinner and just kind of explored. And then that third week, it was me alone by myself. By that time, I had developed a routine. The
uh-huh.
dog and I were kind of had our
Mhm.
own thing going. But
Mhm.
for that entire 3 weeks, I walked the beach every single day.
Mhm.
I had my devotion and meditation time. It really was an opportunity for me
Mhm.
because I ended that sit just a few days before my birthday. It
Oh,
was just a reset. It was absolutely beautiful. She came back. She invited me to stay another night with her to just kind of hang out. And I decided I was kind of ready to go home at that time, but she calls me personally when she wants me to come back and sit for her. So you start to build those relationships. And, one of the things I always do for the owners is I kind of get a feel for how much, excuse me, they want to know about what's happening with their pet.
yeah.
Some people want a text or a call regularly. Some people like, don't call me, I'm on vacation. And
That's
you
right.
kind of get a feel for the owners when you're there and you just kind of are respectful for what it is that they need.
That's right. That's a funny thing about house sitting. Some people will tell you, listen, I don't need to hear about this dog twice a day. Do you, like and you do it's a question that I don't ask enough. As many house sits as I've done, I don't ask them that ahead of time. I just start out and then let them respond or not respond. If they don't respond, if I text them twice a day and they don't respond, I'm knocking it down to once a day, and then I might knock it down to every other day, right?
Right,
Whereas
right.
sometimes you'll text them twice a day and still they'll be texting you and in between like, how's everything? Yeah, it's a people being a realtor, you know people. You're a people
Absolutely.
person. And so you have to
Absolutely.
navigate people with every
Yeah.
house that there's a different personality. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I am, as you know, some folks are, you have access to everything in the house, and some people say you have access, but you can't go in this cabinet. And some
Right.
people like, bring your own food. It really is just, it's whatever they're comfortable with. Is
That's
I'm fine with it.
that's right. Yeah, every single one is different. Every single one. So what was it like going into that first stranger's home and just living in there? Do you remember the time just walking in there being like, what do I do? Do I sit? Do I clean? Do I
Well, that, right? So I started off, and I still do, especially once I drive. I'll bring my own sheets, my own blankets, my own pillows, just because, I don't know, how people live. Like, you can kind of tell from the pictures or whatever, and I'm able to be a little bit more selective.
Right.
But when I'm driving, I have an SUV. Like, why not pile it up if that's what you need? And plus, it was in the middle of COVID, so I was like, I gotta bring my Lysol, my wipes. I wasn't sure what it was gonna be like. So I wanted to be prepared for whatever. So I still do bring my own like cleaning supplies and Lysol and all that stuff. And I'm respectful. Some folks are like, well, we're only green in our house and we only use particular things. I'm respectful of that as well. I still am uncomfortable sleeping in the owner's bed.
Right.
So most of them have had, a separate place for me to be. And some of them say, you can sleep in our bed if that's what you want to do. That's just kind of me. Um, so, it all of them are different. Now I know to ask a little bit more questions like before I go, like what are your expectations? What is your house like? How is it set up? So that I know what I'm dealing with. But I'm still gonna bring my own towels, my own sheets, and my own
That's
pillow.
funny.
I can't do that on a plane, right? But when I'm driving, I can.
Yeah, I have my dad had a cousin Betty who used to take her own sheets to hotels.
Yeah, I mean, and fortunately, I haven't had to use them, but
Mm.
I've always had them,
Yeah.
so it's been good. It's been
But
okay.
that's a real concern, right? That's one of the things people always ask, like, what? How do you know what's clean and how do you know what's what? I've had house sits where I've walked in and ripped the sheets off. Even if they say they washed them, I'll rip them off, throw them in the washer. That way, when I go to bed, I feel good, right? I don't have to
Mm,
question things. I've done that. I always
yeah,
run a load through the dishwasher, right? Run a load of dishes and stuff. Just because it's in the cabinet doesn't mean I like the way it was cleaned, right? I always run a load through the dishwasher. And
yeah, and
yeah,
it's not to be offensive, right? It's just who knows?
who knows? Uh,
Who
I want
knows?
to tell you a gross story, but I also don't want to tell it. Okay, so I'm going to tell it because I can't not tell it. One time I walked into a house sit and the dishwasher was running and I was like,
Uh-oh,
good,
we
now I
got
don't have to do this. Oh, we done lost her
I
again,
see
y'all. We're here.
I I see you. Okay,
Okay.
good.
The dishwasher was running when I walked in, and I was like, good, now I don't have to do the dishes. There's clean dishes in here for me. So I opened up the thing, and there was a coffee mug and a coffee spoon right on the bottom, right? So I go down, I make instant coffee,
Right.
and I bring instant coffee with me most times. Um, and so I make my little instant coffee. I'm drinking my coffee and enjoying myself. The next time I need something out of the dishwasher, I open up the top drawer, and there is a menstrual cup in the top drawer
Oh,
with the
stop.
dish. And oh, I used paper plates the entire. It was just a 3-day house sit. I used paper plates the whole rest of the time. I couldn't even bring myself to unload it and reload it and rerun it and right. So you don't know. You don't know.
That's another thing too, though. I always bring paper plates,
Yeah.
plastic spoons, and my own cup. I do. I just do. I don't always use them, but I always have them.
Yes. I wish I had had them. I left. I left and bought them. Right. I'm like, I'm going to Wawa. I'm going to Wawa. I got to do it. I got to do it. Yeah. That was
That's
the worst. Say it again.
I ask, where's the closest Walmart? I do ask that
Do you?
question in my interview, like how close are you to shopping and restaurants, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
some people who know, like people who have had house sitters before and know what are the questions we're going to have, they put it in the profile, right? They'll be like 2-minute drive, 10-minute walk to this shopping center where there is this, this, and that. Like some house sitting clients really know how to get your attention, right? 2-minute
Yeah.
walk to this mall and this shopping center and this grocery store. Yes, I need to know all of that. All of that. Yeah.
Stephanie, I had a couple of rules when I first started is that like when I was first kind of setting up my sits and wanting to get my reviews, it was like it needs to be driving distance,
Okay.
right? Um and it needs to be at a house that is as nice or better than
Mm-hmm.
my. And initially, I didn't want to do a house sit more than 4 days. I kind of
Okay.
felt like I can endure anything for 4 days, while I'm getting my reviews. Now I know more of what to look for as far as other reviews, and I'll actually go and kind of check out the area to see what's closed, aside from the house itself. I
Okay.
guess I'm a little bit more seasoned, but those were my initial criteria is if I'm going to house sit, I want to go to a nice house.
Yes, ma'am. I do that too. My criteria is would I pay if this house was on Airbnb, would I pay to stay there? Right?
Oh,
That's how I answer it, right? Because sometimes nice is subjective. A nice house at like um Dewey Beach in Delaware, right? It's going to be a small condo and it's going to be, but would I pay to stay there? Yeah. Right? A nice house in some other place is a different, anyway. So that's a rule that I have. Would I pay to stay there? And I'm the opposite on length. I hardly ever take a house sit less than 2 or 3 weeks. I did
well,
this summer, but
I'm
yeah.
still new, but now we're getting into the longer ones for me. So now that I did that 3 week sit at the beach, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do more longer.
That's right. That's right, because you're right. It really is a retreat. I think that's something I don't talk about enough. I talk about like the like this is a beautiful house and I get to be in this beautiful house. But when you're in a new place, it's that's a retreat, and you can build your day around like this is my retreat space, and I'm going to treat this like a retreat, and I'm going to do the things that I don't do at home, because at home I am not the person that I want to be. I think at home I'm a person who lays in the bed all day and puts everything off till tomorrow, and then tomorrow, and then tomorrow, everything, right? I eat junk food all day long, right? But when I go on a house sit, I am super Stephanie, right?
Yeah. It's funny you say that because even in the ones that I do across town, like because Metro Atlanta could be 2 hours from one
Yes.
side to the other side, right? And so for me, I TripAdvisor is my friend. So I'll go to a different side of town and I'll go to TripAdvisor and be like, what are the top restaurants over here? Like, what are the reviews for, things in this area? And
Mhm.
so I kind of make sure that when I'm on the other side of town, I'm going to go do something that I wouldn't ordinarily do because it's an hour and a half from my house to there. So, I always want to make it just always an adventure as well. Not just, I'm in another house in Atlanta, but what I haven't been on that side of town. I haven't explored that area. I haven't seen restaurants over there. I haven't seen that little city center. So let me check that out.
That's right. That's right. I'm glad that you call it a retreat and a reset, because it really can be. It can be what you want it to be, right? It can be whatever you decide. If it's going to be a time when you're just going to sit in the house and write a book, which I've had many a times where I said that's what it was going to be, right? Just going to sit in this house and write. I'm going to walk the dogs, come back, do writing. Walk the dogs, come back, do some more writing, right? It's whatever you decide it's going to be. If you want to vacation in your own city, vacation in your own city, right? I'm sorry I told y'all about the menstrual. I'm not sorry I told you, but I'm sorry. Some of y'all are really, really upset about this. I hope those with weak stomachs, I hope you're feeling better. Get you some ginger ale. That's the only people ask. It's something that I blocked out of my memory. And I remembered it not too long ago. And I was like, I don't think I've ever told people this. And I feel like I need to tell people this particular thing, right?
Well, can I tell you about the story when I lost the cat?
Yes.
So I did this house sit, and I'm gonna be honest, like I didn't read the book the way I should have read the book.
Right.
It was
Mhm.
very particular and didn't know that the cat was a runner, right? So the cat got out and I had no idea. Like we had gone for the day. And I came back and I noticed that, they had like an automatic pet feeder and
Mhm.
the cat hadn't eaten any food. Like I knew the cat
Yeah.
was like hiding and stuff. And I thought maybe the cat was just hiding in the house. And then I realized the cat hadn't eaten any food. And I was like, uh-oh, where's the cat? Couldn't find the cat. I'm looking all over for the cat. I was like, oh my God, the cat's been hit by a car. The cat had gone out the front door when I wasn't looking. When I went out to walk the dog, the cat slipped out and was hiding under the vehicle that they had left in
Oh,
front of the house. So fortunately, the cat hadn't gone far. The cat was out for about 8 hours, and I had no clue the cat was gone.
that's the that's the big fear, right? That's the big fear. I'm gonna lose these people's pets, right?
Man,
Uh,
read the
Yeah.
booklet because
Yeah. Yeah. Some of them give a lot of information. I'm like, give me the highlights, give me the main points. But yeah, that's an important thing to know. Sometimes they'll be like, you can take him to the dog park and take him off the leash. I do it because I want the dog to be happy, but I am so paranoid that whole time. I'm like staring and watching it. Like it's really that is the big fear, losing those people's pets.
yeah, and you like for me, I had to like text the owners and it's like the cat's out under the car. I can't get him back in. Like, what do you suggest I do to get the cat back in the house? And I was embarrassed, but at the same time, it was more important for me to get that cat back in the house
Yeah.
than it was to save face. So yeah, it don't always go perfectly well.
No.
But
What did
you
they
know,
say?
she told me, she said, take the food bag outside and shake the bag. Once you shake the bag, he'll be ready to come back in the house. And he did. And once he got in, I was like, the cat's not getting back out anymore.
That's it, right? That's the secret. You just shake the bag of treats. They'll come. Or
Yep.
bacon. A bag of treats or bacon will do the trick every time. Every time. And was she upset?
No, she didn't appear to be upset. No.
No, no, because it happens to them too, right? The cat
Hmm.
gets out on them too. These are people who know they know these animals, right? They know.
Yeah.
I know how he's a rascal. I know. They already know. I had people warn me about the dog chewing everything up when you leave. Like
Mm.
you have to put him in the crate when you leave the house. He looks sweet and innocent, and he's going to look sweet and innocent, but you have to crate him when you leave. All right. So I think I'm the Black Cinderella. And I think this dog is so chilled out because I've been here and I'm literally not even going a full block. Got in my car to go to the green juice smoothie place, but it wasn't even a full block. And I came back, didn't put him in the crate. He had chewed up an entire big thriving plant, just chewed it all up, just destroyed the plant, chewed into my book bag that I had left on the sofa, chewed dog teeth holes into my book bag. I'm like it was probably 3 minutes. Uh, they know what they're talking about. They know these animals. If they say the dog is a rascal, he's a rascal. Trust them, right? So then I have to tell her. I send her pictures. I'm just like, look, I fell for the okey doke. I fell for the okey doke. I left. It wasn't the first time I had left the house, right? And I don't know, putting him upstairs in the crate was just a whole production. I said, I fell for the okey doke and he destroyed this plant. She was like, that's what he does. And then she went on about her vacation.
Stephanie, I hadn't considered until you just kind of spoke about that. What a service we're doing for these homeowners, right? Because I remember when I had my dog and we had gone on I think a 2 week vacation to Africa and it was like $800 to board our dog
Yes,
at that time. And you think, wow, if I were not here with this pet in this environment, they would be boarded probably or staying someplace and maybe a not necessarily great environment, or the homeowner would be paying a lot of money to take care of this dog. And I hadn't considered what a reciprocal service we're providing for these families.
that's right. That's how I think about it. I'm helping people live their dreams.
Hmm.
I help them live their dreams and come back to a happy, healthy pet, right?
Yeah.
I take credit for every trip they've been on, right? I know, right? I had a woman in her 80s, 70s or 80s. She wanted to go see the Hot Air Balloon Festival in Albuquerque. She said it was on her bucket list. Okay, I helped her do check something off of her bucket list. Okay, 1 point for me, right? Points for me. The family last year went on a whirlwind tour. They did all kind of stuff, and they took family and friends with them. Right? Okay, I get some of the points for that. I get life points for doing these things. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I do. I consider it a service, and I consider it helping other people live their dreams while I get to be in that town and live out my dreams. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's right. That's right. Mindy, not Mindy, mind your business 82. Happened to me. Owner told me to keep small wires hidden. I left my wireless headphones out, came back, headphones destroyed.
Oh,
They know. They know their pets. They they're giving you these warnings for a reason. I had some rowdy dogs eat up my post-it notes. Like, come on, y'all. Post-it notes. I know they're not delicious. I know. I know they're not delicious. Yeah, pet boarding is expensive. It's expensive to board your pet. This is why something like a trusted house sitters is taking over this world, right? Taking the world over by storm. Trusted house sitters, I don't think existed 8 or 9 years ago. I don't think, right? And now,
well, I have been spreading the gospel like in environments where people are like, "You're traveling all the time," and they're thinking I'm spending a lot of money on travel. I'm not. I'm not. I may be taking care of one pet or two pets, but it's not a difficult thing to do. And it really is definitely a reset for me to be in a different space. When I did my house sit in Florida, I'd gone for my walk on the beach, and I'd gone to one of the local restaurants and it had a long line out there. And I was going to go and I was going to have my meal by myself. And I met this group of ladies and they were visiting and they're like, come on and join us for lunch. And I was like, nah. And I was like, Tisha, you're going to sit and eat by yourself or you can just meet these perfect strangers.
yeah.
And we had a fantastic breakfast brunch. We talked about house sitting. They invited me to house sit at their beach house when they're gone and they paid for my meal, right? So
Huh.
if never met a stranger was the person, that definitely is me. I
Okay.
feel like
Has that always
collect
been you?
I feel like yes, but I feel like more of that part of me is showing up when I travel, right? So I feel like I am actually collecting friends
Mhm.
kind of all over the US and really kind of all over the world, right? So social media allows us to stay connected and you kind of
Yeah,
start getting to know people that maybe you wouldn't have ordinarily.
that's right.
So it's been great for me to kind of expand my wings and expand my circle actually.
Good, good. I have not been team never met a stranger. I'm still not, but I'm closer. And being a house sitter has helped me get a little bit closer to that. Because
Yeah.
listen, what a great introduction when people do say, "Hey, Stephanie, not, oh, hi, nice to meet you." Like I met a dude at the wherever I was, St. Augustine, no, somewhere in Florida for my very last house sit this summer, and I was eating at a breakfast spot, and I don't know. I don't know if I asked him what was going on in town that day, or he was like, "Are you going to the thing or whatever?" And I was like, "I don't know anything about this town." He's like, "Why are you here?" "I'm a house sitter." Oh, people love that, right? That's the
They do.
conversation starter. That is
They do.
the.
And they'll say, okay, so we got fireworks on Tuesday, and this is happening on that day, and this festival's happening on
Mhm.
on this day, and we got a wine stroll on Wednesday. And it is. It's really nice because the locals will tell you everything that's happening because they consider you one of them when they know you're going to be staying for an extended period of time.
That's right. That's right. People love to be good ambassadors for their city. Some people love to be a good ambassador for their place. They want to make sure that you see the best of it. See the best.
Yeah.
He told me where to go. He told there was something happening. There was like jazz on the beach or something. Where to go, where to sit to make sure I got the good shade at the right time. Like he gave me all the information. I didn't do it. I didn't have the heart to tell him, listen, I don't do things. Okay. This is the most I'm gonna do today. This eating these pancakes, that was the end of my day.
It was funny during my house sit in Florida, this last one, I was on it was close to my last day there, and I was doing my morning walk, and I was coming up, and I saw these people setting up stuff. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? They're like, well, we're going to have church on the beach. I was like,
Oh,
what? There's church on the beach in Florida.
wow.
And I went to the car and got my little chair and had my Bible and sat out there and had church out on the beach. Who does that? What a wonderful experience.
What a,
It was great.
yes, what a wonderful experience. You don't know what people are out here doing until you move around among
Have
them.
no clue. Exactly. Had it set up, you could use your phone to cash up your offering in. I was like, look at this.
Yes, that's wonderful. Yes, take advantage of an advantage. These people who live in beautiful places use those beautiful places. They know how to put them to use. Yes.
Absolutely.
Moments of
Absolutely.
essence. So I did see a question, can you bring a pet with you? Yes, if the client agrees, right? Some clients are going to say no, right? Either my dog doesn't like other dogs or I don't know you, no. But there is a client out there who will be like, yes, sure, bring your pet. So Moments of Essence says, I brought my pup on house sits as long as it's agreed upon with the house owner. Yeah, I think, yes. So that's a thing. You can bring your pets, you can bring a spouse, right? As long as they agree to it. Tisha brought her best friend. That was wonderful. That was
It
wonderful.
was. And she's coming with me to our sit in, December as well.
Okay.
And also the owners agreed to allow me to bring my grandson, who's 11,
Mhm.
um, to that particular house. Unfortunately, we couldn't make the dates work because he'll be going back to school, before
Uh,
the sit is over. But you can ask the question, and that brings me to another point, Stephanie, is that there are many of us who would be house sitting, but we're scared, kind of.
right, right.
We've got a community partner with someone who also wants to do a house sit that might be scared.
Mhm,
You go and you do a house sit for a couple days, 3 or 4 days. You may have met a friend for life, or you may decide, I don't like this person. I'm not sitting with them anymore.
mhm.
Okay,
Okay,
try it again with somebody else in a different space. So for those of us who are sitting on the sideline because you might be afraid or you don't want to do it alone,
mhm.
there's another woman in this group that would be willing to do a sit with you because they're feeling the same way.
That's right. That's exactly right. Everyone feels that fear in the beginning. I had my membership for a while before I wouldn't even apply for a house sit. I was so afraid. I paid for the membership, but I was afraid to apply for house sits, right? And somebody had to reach out to me. A local person reached out to me and was like, "Oh, I see you're in town. I need help." Right? I have a Disney World emergency, right? So, yeah, this is right. You don't have to do this by yourself. If you want to give it a try, holler at some women, holler at somebody who's either already doing it or y'all get started together. So I found the link for the Exodus Summit community. It is
Yeah,
exodussummit.com/community. This is how I know what Tisha's been out in the world doing because she's been sharing in the Exodus Summit communities. You've been sharing with everybody your house sits and your travel and you've had like a life makeover is too superficial, but you've made over. I feel it's. Do you think? Would you say that you've made your life over in the last couple of years?
absolutely. I mean, I haven't shared this with you, but I've been, my real life I've been going through a difficult time, right? And house sitting and even being able to go away across town, whatever, has been kind of a reprieve from, difficult times. So, with that being said, I mean, it really has been a breath of fresh air and it has been life saving and changing
Yeah.
because you start to see that there is a world that's bigger than the situation that you're living in at any given moment. And you get to kind of get a break for a minute. And you're like, just a few days and you're not, I know for me, I travel a lot internationally. And I wanna save my money for those
That's
trips,
right.
right? But I still wanna go to other places, right? So, it's just an opportunity to pack up the trunk of that car and be like, "I'm out. Imma be gone, a couple days, and I'm be a couple hours away, and, I'm leave this on the shelf for a second, and I'm gonna get back here and, see something different and come back." And it just gives me, one of my friends says it gives you just enough to keep on
Yeah.
going till you get to the end of whatever it is that you're dealing with at that given moment.
That's right. That's right. So So do you have a plan now to do? Yeah. What's next? What's next for you?
So fortunately, I'll be spending the new year on a house sit. So going into the new year. So yeah, so definitely next year it's about international. I have been local, through COVID, but now that we've kind of got a handle on that, baby, the world is kind of the limit at this point. There's a few places that I would like to go and stay for an extended period of time, but wasn't sure that I could afford it by paying, out of pocket for that. But knowing now I just need to get a flight
Yep.
and pay for my food
And
when I
eat.
get there and
Mhm.
whatever, I'm planning to do, international is what's next for me.
What's on your wish list? Do you have a city or a country on your wish list?
Yeah, so I went to Australia a couple years ago, and it's one
Oh,
of those places where I was like, "I could live here." So I wanna go back to Sydney and just enjoy the beautiful beaches and just spend some time with the locals there. Um, I wanna go to Spain and Portugal. So the places that I've been, like, on vacation, but I wanna spend a little bit more time there, I'm looking for those as places to house it. I haven't done Mexico yet. I've visited quite a few times, but I
mhm.
really wanna go there and spend some time, just exploring, the countryside and just really seeing what Mexico has to offer. I'm kinda trying to scout to see where I'm gonna take my sabbatical because that's gonna be in the works within the next 12 months.
Good. That's what I
Um
was asking. That's what I was hoping to hear.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to decide where's gonna be my extended stay. I haven't gotten there yet. Can you hold on for 1 minute while I plug in my computer? Okay.
Sure, sure. All right, yeah. So the places that Tisha mentioned are places where you can find house sits. Spain and Portugal, like so house sitting, the house sitting platforms that are out here, Trusted House Sitters, House Carers, Mind My House, they are platforms that were started by either the English people or Australian people. House sitting is the biggest among those groups of people. It's common in England, in the UK, and in Australia. So, um, and those people also, a lot of times, I say a lot all the time, those people also tend to have um, beach houses and stuff in Spain and Portugal. So these people who now know, who have known house sitting for a while, have moved to these other places and have beach houses. So some of them need a house sitter sometimes in Australia, and then they need a house sitter sometimes in Spain or Portugal. They need a house sitter sometimes in the UK. Sometimes they need a house sitter in Malta, right? UK people love Malta. I don't think Malta's that big, but it seems to have a lot of British people, right? So you can get in with one and become a regular client, and sometimes you house sit for them in Malta, and sometimes you house sit for them in the UK. So your place, I'm telling, your places on your list. Australia is house sitter central, like especially so. Before COVID, I don't know what's happened to house sitting in Australia with COVID because they were really strict about travel. But if travel is back in Australia, house sitting is back. They believe in it. They stand by it. And them Australians have money and time to go for long periods of time. So you can find a nice lengthy house sit in Sydney if that's what you want. Yeah,
And to piggyback off of what you were saying, Stephanie, is that, folks who have house sitters have friends who need house sitters.
that's right.
And so it does, like, once you kind of get in that network, I told my friend about you, and they're going to have a house sit coming up in this time. And they wanted me to check with you first to see if you would be available. And they start introducing you to other friends that have a need for house sitters. So, it's just one of those things is just start and then decide how you want it to look for you.
That's right. That's right. Yes, it's going to look different, right? It's look different for the two of us. It's going to look, and even we our sets have looked different at different times, right? Sometimes, right? Tisha had a 4 day 4 day max, and now she's like 3 weeks, please, right? So, yeah, make it fit, make it work for you. You don't have to be a retiree with no job to house sit, or a person who does whatever I do in order to house sit. You can be a person who has to be at a job at a specific time on a specific day in a specific location and still house sit, still get your money's worth out of your um, membership fee. Yeah, get your money's worth. Alicia, it hurts my heart that it's so popular in Australia because I never wanted to go there, but I never looked at it as a networking opportunity. Alicia, Australia is Australia is a place to experience, right? Tisha likes it. I wouldn't. Right? It's for now. They're spoiled for beautiful beaches. I mean, the beautiful beaches are just everywhere. I'm from Delaware. I'm from the East Coast. I'm from a place where you can't drive 30 miles without hitting a beach, without hitting the water. Delaware's only 40. I think Delaware's only 40 miles across, right? So you're gonna hit the beach, but they don't look like these beaches in Australia. I mean, they're just beautiful. I One time I got off the little metro, the little train or whatever, and walked through a neighborhood, and I'm like, there can't be a beach here. This is a neighborhood. Boom, beautiful beach, right? Just like it was a neighborhood, park, beautiful beach. Like they're just spoiled. If you want a life where you just get up in the morning and go to the beach, Australia. It's expensive, but Australia.
It's
Yeah,
expensive. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. How
One
long
of the
you
other
go?
things I wanted to say too is that, as a real estate agent, I work for a national company,
Mhm.
and generally when I'm going, I see an office for my company. So I'm not it's not unusual for me to go knock on the door saying, "Hey, I'm Tisha from Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about referrals," and looking for referral partners in those areas, because I've now met some people who live in a house that at some point may or may not have a real estate need. So I'm still speaking to those folks. So, hey, I remember you saying you're a real estate agent. We have a real estate need. Wonderful. I can get you connected in that area. So I'm looking at this from a bunch of different angles all the time.
Look at you turning it into a business trip. Oh, a business expense.
Looking for a way to flip it and spin it.
Yes, and expense that bad boy.
That part.
All right, and so sabbatical plans are being made, and you think maybe you'll take a sabbatical in 2020. You saying it's 2024?
I'm thinking before the end of 2023. So we know in 2022, I took 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm looking to at least double that in 2023, and then we'll see how it goes from there in 2024.
Good, good. Yes. So the secret is out. Like once you take some time, you're not like, "Oh, that was great. Now I'm going to go back to business as usual." Once you
No.
take some time, you start thinking, "Okay, how do I take more time and then more time?" Right?
And it's funny too, Stephanie, and every opportunity that comes my way, the first thing I say is, how is this going to impact my travel? How
Right.
is this going to how is this going to interfere with, what I got going on? And so, I may have trips planned. So I have a trip in January, March, I have one in May, and one in December already for 2023.
Right.
And so now I can start squeezing my life into, I've already got this stuff set up. So, whatever we need to do, we need to work around that.
Yes.
Um, so, I know for me, my birthday time, which is August, is really always the time where I start to be self-reflective
Right.
about where am I in life and where am I trying to go, and am I on that right path? And or has the path changed? Has what I thought I wanted, is that still in alignment with what I really want, right? So, um, for me, I'm always forward thinking, and and if an opportunity comes in and I'm able to jump on that, I'm always looking.
You're so right about the asking yourself, how does this impact your travel? If travel is your self-care practice or is one of your wellness practices, then you need to be running your new things through through that filter. How is this going to impact travel, which is my wellness practice or my self-care, right? Just like in the old days, the question may have been for some people, how does this work with my job? Right now, the question is, how does this work with travel? How does this work with my travel plans? If because you call if you call it if you consider it a self-care practice, a wellness practice, then it needs to be at the center. It needs to have the priority, and then that other stuff needs to be it needs to go through that filter. Yes, I'm glad that you're doing that. um, I think that sometimes people do go into something like a sabbatical thinking it's going to be a cure-all, a one-stop cure-all. It doesn't work like that. It does change, it gives you time to reflect, right? And gives you a chance to reset, but it also just causes a change in you, that sticks around. And so one sabbatical leads to another sabbatical. Everybody needs to understand that.
And one of the things too, I also want us to emphasize is that, and we touched on it, but there are a lot of sits that want a couple
Yeah.
or they want a family. And so this is not something that, I'm an empty nester, right? So it seems like it's easier for me, but there have been some sits that I wanted. They're like, no, we think that it would probably be better with, a couple. And
Mhm.
so even as I see sits, I say, I'll reach out to my cousin, you want to go with me? Or I'll, check in to see what schedules are looking like. But there are plenty, you don't have to be like you and I, Stephanie, in order to get a house sit. There are plenty for whatever your family situation is.
That's right. That's right. Some of them it's just because they're a family and they're used to at least two people, and they're right, and so that they think that it has to be at least two people to take care of the responsibilities of the home, right? I'm like, I can do it. It's just a cat, right? Like it's just a cat. But yeah, it's this is not because you're right. Because I talk house sitting and I'm a solo person. Some people assume that you have to be a solo person to house sit, but no, they love couples. They love two duos, right? It doesn't have to be a romantic couple. Just they love a team of house sitters. People love that. It makes them feel, I think, more in case there's some sort of emergency, they feel like there'll be a backup person. I think that's one of the main things that they really like about it. Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to house sit with another person, there's an extra, like, there's an extra question that you ask the client. Here, I'm going to house sit with this person. Are you okay with that? This is my mom or my spouse or whoever, my cousin. But then you also want to make sure like that you have sleeping accommodations. You don't want to be in a studio apartment and then be like, oh wait, you got to sleep on the sofa, right? So figure out the sleeping accommodations. But it's really just an extra question. It's really an extra question. And there are people who have their profile on Trusted House Sitters makes it clear that they always house sit as a couple, right? And people like it. People like that. Yeah. Lisa says empty nesters unite. Yes. Congratulations on getting your daughter into college, Lisa. And congratulations on now doing what you want. Okay. Now we're going to do what we want to do. Yeah. Wonderful. All right, so we've talked about um, you attending Exodus Summit and making a whole bunch of changes. You put a lot of stuff into into practice. Have you always been a person who's like, "Oh, I want this, I'm going to do this," and not a person who's like, "Oh, I want this, I'm going to think about it for years and years and not."
It's fluid, right? It just kind of depends on where I am in life. But that first Exodus Summit, I think I was going into year 50. So, and I was going into my 50th year with trepidation, honestly, and just simply because the women in my family were sick or in some sort of situation by the time they got to 50. So I was dreading going to 50.
Okay.
And there was something about the Exodus Summit and seeing women who were still living their lives and looking forward to that. I ended up doing for my 50th birthday a solo trip to Mexico
Mm-hmm.
where I did underwater photos. And
Yes.
all was just simply because I wanted to still live a life of adventure and I still wanted to do things that scared me. And I still wanted to, the way I live my life is kind of, when I have a decision I have to make, I have to say to myself, now, when you're 70
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking back on this decision, will you wish you had done it
Right.
or will you regret that you hadn't? And I can make a decision at that moment if it's that important to me.
Yeah.
And if it is, thinking about it from that perspective, I'm going for it. Like it's amazing to me. I ended up going to Greece this year by myself.
Mm.
Um, and that was not the intention. There were 5 of us going, but I ended up being the last one standing,
Oh,
right? And the things that I needed to maneuver at the last minute to make Greece still happen for me, I was like, girl, there is not a situation that can come up that you can't figure it out.
that's right.
And also what I realized is I'm gonna figure out what I want to figure out. If I can't figure it out, it really wasn't that important to me to do it at that time. So as I'm living my life, one of the mottos that I have is live your life, your whole life.
Yes.
And it's okay for you to have an idea that life is supposed to be one way. And when it sends you a curveball, you can kind of grieve and be sad that it didn't happen the way you thought it would,
Yes.
but you're still living. And
Yes.
so there's still a whole world of adventure. I've been to 6 continents. I still got that one to go, or she'd have made me jealous when I saw Antarctica, but I'm coming for you, baby. I'm coming for that 7th continent. And because the women in my family had so many health challenges and issues,
Mhm.
I'm like, I want to do it while I'm young and healthy.
That's
And
right.
so young and healthy is relative as long as I still have the faculties in my body. We went to Greece and we were kind of going through the ruins, and I could see some older people that were really kind of struggling getting upstairs and trying to maneuver. I'm like, by the time I get to that age, I would want to have said, been there, done that. I did everything I wanted to do. I don't want to be looking back saying, I wish I had, woulda, shoulda, coulda. I just don't want to live that life.
That's right. That's right. Regret is really powerful, and I tap into it, right? I tap into what I don't want to regret. You did too, right? We don't want to
Yeah.
be just sitting back saying, "Oh, well, I didn't do it and I wish I had done it." So strike, strike while the iron is hot. Yeah, my dad always says when we go places, or when I go with them, or when it's just him and my mom, he'll look around and be like, "It's nothing but old people here." Now my dad is 70 something, right? But he'll be like, "It's nothing but old people here." But that's the way things are set up in the United States. It's set up for nobody else to have free time and disposable income to live their life, except for old people. And even
That's
not even then, it's not even a guarantee then. I spent last winter in the Caribbean in Curacao. And Curacao is a place, is a Dutch something. I don't know. I don't colony is not the right word, but they're a Dutch something. And them Dutch people flocked to Curacao with children. I'm like, I can't remember the last time I sat around someplace in the United States that you had to pay to get to, right? Or. And saw this many families with children and multiple children out living and enjoying themselves. They're all home working, right? But them Dutch people were like, oh, no, no, it's February. We're not in the Netherlands. We are in Curacao. We are in the Caribbean with our young families, maybe with generations of family, but not waiting until we get 75, 80 to start doing the things that we want to do. I'm off topic. But yes, right, that is a wake up call when you look around and you see like um, it's only old people get to live out their dreams. No, indeed. No, indeed.
my mom teases me often, because, if you know me, I'm always going to have on some cute clothes, but mostly I shop at Ross, right? So what I say over and over again, I don't want more stuff. I want
Mhm.
more experiences, right? And I think sometimes we, and as Americans, can kind of get caught up in consumerism. And I'm not making a judgment for anybody,
Right.
but for me, I would rather, everything I think about is, if I buy this, how is this going to impact my travel? It's like, I drive a 10-year-old car. Nothing wrong with my car. It's a beautiful car, and I think, do I want a newer car? No. I think about how many trips can I pay for instead of making that car payment, right? That it's just my thought process. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong for anybody, but for me, it's how I think of things.
That's right. So thank you, friends, for the compliments. I've seen compliments about how cute we look. I took some extra minutes. I got up out of my bed early today to do some extra prep because Tisha always be on Instagram looking so good. And I'm like, she's not going to have me looking like I just rolled out of bed.
You always look beautiful, Stephanie. Stop it. Stop it.
I'm taking some extra steps today. So let's talk about you being a person who likes to look good and likes to have beautiful clothes on. So how does that jive with the person who is like, I don't want a bunch of stuff?
You know, well, let's start with the gray hair, right?
Mhm.
So, when I was growing up, my aunt really had a hard time with her gray hair, right? So,
Oh,
for me, I was like, I'm gonna embrace it. I'm gonna make that kind of the signature of who I am, right?
mhm,
Even in the COVID, I was about 60 pounds heavier, and I just kind of started walking for my own mental health. And so, this is just me, and I was just thinking to myself, and I'm very vain. It's like I don't want to be fat and 50 with gray hair. And so I was like, I can't change being 50. I'm not going to change my gray hair because I love it. It is what it is. I can focus on, and it wasn't focusing on weight loss, but when COVID came, I was like, when I saw so many people dying, getting sick, and losing loved ones, I was like, I am going to do whatever I can do to be healthy. And I knew that I'm not going to be a gym rat. I'm not going to be lifting weights and pumping iron, but I could get out and I could walk every day. And
okay.
I could start confronting the things that were a challenge for me, emotionally and spiritually. I started leaning more into the Bible and God, and I started seeing things from a different perspective.
Mm,
And I'm like, Lord, I'm here. You have spared me. You've spared me through, this challenging time that we have had. Like you, when I saw you and Rashida, just inspiring women, I was like, I don't know who my group is, but there are some people here that, will learn from my story or be inspired by my
Mhm.
story. I just want to be a living example of what happens when you choose to live your life
Yes.
on your terms, or even being focused on it. And I didn't get here overnight. This has been a journey of about 3 or 4 years, right?
Yeah.
But I can wake up every day saying, I'm happy with who I am. I'm proud of the life that I've created.
Yeah.
It didn't go exactly the way I planned for it to go, but God has the ultimate plan for me. And if I stop fighting against what I think it should be and allowing it to be what it actually is, I hear so many people, and I don't know where this comes from, who say you inspire me or it's because of you I did this. And I don't know what I'm doing any different except for what me and God are having a conversation about. And yes, I do like to look good, but honey, I don't want to spend no money on nothing. So I go, my mom says this all the time. I'll go into the store and I'll just do this twirl, and I still have things in my closet like that have tags on it. It's
Yeah.
24.99, 10.99. It's just not a lot,
Uh-huh.
but I can make a $20 dress look like it's a
Yes.
million bucks. I
Yes.
mean, I I can,
Yes.
right? And so because I don't have, I live a very conservative life as far as my expenses.
Mhm.
And because I know I like to travel, even as I am like whatever money I make, like, okay, this is part of the travel fund, and
Yeah.
because that's my priority. So I put some things in place for my grandchildren and for myself and for my retirement. The rest of it, and like Ayanna would say, y'all get the overflow, but what's in the cup is for me. So
Yes.
I've made sure I've allocated what's in the cup, but the overflow, I'm going to live my life and have a good time with that.
I like that. We've been taught the reverse, right? Fill up the cup for other people so that you have it for others. And then if there's any extra, you can take that. Right? We get taught the extra. I like that. And I wrote down live your whole life, right? My mom says, live, sister, live, right? But live your whole life. We can focus on something like work, right? So you could focus on your real estate career and let other parts of your life just wither and die. That's not how we're supposed to do it, right? You got to live your whole life. Yes. Yeah. I'm really glad. Okay. Yeah. I have seen, so you said people say you're an inspiration and you're like, where does that come from? I don't know, but I feel the same way. I love watching you. It's just, there's just one magic, wonder, beauty, and seeing a black woman say, oh, I'm going to live, right? I'm living my whole life. I'm going to do the things that I want to do. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not happy, which is something that some people think that they have to do. I have to pretend. I feel like I'm living my dream. I'm just going to let you know I'm living my dream, not pretend like I'm not. You're out there doing it, showing it there, and it is really helpful to someone when you show what you're doing. When you show that underwater photo shoot, it touched me, right? I had just met you during the Exodus Summit, right? But seeing that, I was like, yes, right? This is
Girl,
how we live.
I was terrified. Oh my gosh. Oh, I thought I was going to drown, and I'm under the water and I got to open my eyes. I can't see anything. And I'm got a smile and the fish are nibbling at my feet. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to drown. I mean, it was terrifying. But when it was over, it was completely exhilarating.
Mhm.
And, you know, many people don't know this, but I'm a teen mom. And so my son is 36. I think
Oh,
he's 30.
wow. Good
Yeah,
grief.
actually my two grandchildren are upstairs now, but I was having a conversation with him a couple of months ago, and we were talking about my grandkids' college, and I decided that I would be the last one in my bloodline that would live with student loans. Period. End of
Ah,
story. Right. And so
okay.
everything that I'm doing moving forward is to make sure that as they start off their life, they're not starting in the hole. And
Oh,
so I put some things in place for them. I was having a conversation with my son, and we were talking about the grandkids and allocation we had for their college. And I said, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And he said, "Yeah, Mom. Remember I told you if they don't use it, I told you I wanted to start a trust for my grandkids."
okay.
And I could sit back that day, and when I realized that my son was not just thinking about
Yeah,
surviving right now,
yeah,
but he was also planning for his grandchildren,
mm,
I was like, okay, I've done my work, and it allowed me to loosen up a little bit and not feel like everything was on my
yeah,
shoulders. And so that we were actually working as a family, as a team, to make sure that the people that come after us will not have to experience a lot of the hardships that we had to
Mhm.
experience.
Mhm.
And so I feel like I've done a lot to provide a foundation
Uh-huh.
that the other folks, the younger folks, can build off without having all of that pressure on me to save the whole world.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all about teaching people to fish. I'm gonna teach you. My sister makes fun of me. She says, "You told us that when you pass away, you weren't gonna leave us anything, but you're gonna leave us the library, the books in your library
Uh-huh.
that taught you how to make money." And I don't remember saying that, but I'm sure that's what I said, right? So for me, it's like, I'll teach you how to do it for yourself, but I'm not going to take responsibility for making it happen for you.
Yes. That is revolutionary for a black woman to say. I'm going to say it, right? That's revolutionary because a black woman is supposed to say, supposed to, in air quotes, supposed to say, I'll do everything for you, right? I'll give and give and give until my last breath. I'll do it for you. You don't worry about it, baby. I got it.
Yeah, that hard
Revolutionary.
stuff is done. That was my mom's generation,
Hmm.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I don't feel guilt about that, just
No,
because I will share everything I know. I will share all of the blueprints, I will share all of the steps, I will share all the hardships, all the setbacks. I'll share all of that.
that's
And
right.
I'll be supportive as, people go through their own transition, but I'm, done carrying an entire family on my back.
That's right. Okay, good. I see that. I knew this. Okay, so when I say I knew Tisha, I felt like I knew her, even though I didn't know her. But now we know her. Now we know. So you have a new YouTube channel, pretty new. Congratulations on your new YouTube channel. You're
Yeah.
primarily talking about the Atlanta real estate scene. Is that right?
I am. And actually, so when we're talking about, part of the reason why I'm able to do what I do is I also have some virtual leverage, right? And so, you know, I have had the opportunity to sit back and say, okay, what do I like about what I do? What do I not like about what I do? Who's better at some of these things than me? And at a certain point, my mind shifted from I'm just selling real estate to I'm building a real estate business.
Yes.
And what are the things that I can do one time that will continue to perpetuate, how I'm living? I think I'm an educator by nature.
Yeah.
My mom used to say that all the time, but I think she kept wanting to put me in the classroom.
Okay.
No, I'm not a traditional educator by any means, but I do believe that sharing knowledge and education is just kind of who I am. And so, one of the things that I have um, focused on is building my business through community education. I was in Florida doing community education videos, and I had, a virtual assistant that was capturing a lot of what we were talking about in the market and posting. So I'm having more and more people that are drawn to me because of that community education piece. So I'm not so focused on I got to get a client, I got to get a client.
Right.
That's not happening as much anymore.
Yeah.
And the shift has been, and a lot of it has to do with you, because I'm like, if Stephanie can be someplace in the world and running a whole business,
That's
I
right.
can too.
That's right. That's
I
right.
just need to know how.
This is why we share information. That's right. So I've put the link to Tisha's YouTube channel on the screen so you can subscribe to her channel. But that's right. I think I'm also a natural teacher, but I'm not a natural classroom person. Not a natural teacher in the classroom. YouTube is a great place for people like us, right? YouTube is perfect. We get to thrive. We get to share what we know and teach people what we know, and then go on about our business and enjoy the beach.
How can I do this one time and it show up over and over and over and over again? And I think for me with real estate, I stopped wanting it to be what I would call hand to hand combat,
Yeah.
right? One time. I really wanted there to be a community, and I really wanted it to be, more fluid, where we were all kind of, you know, moving in and out. My last couple of deals were just because, hey, we've seen you educate the community and I want to work with
Uh-huh.
somebody like you.
Uh-huh.
I was just doing what comes naturally to me, even though it's outside of what we're traditionally taught in real estate. Very, very much for
Right.
you. And you say, hey, I just want to live a leisurely life. That's contrary to what we've been taught.
Yeah. It is. It is. You're right. And I would guess real estate has been, could be super cutthroat and competitive and not collaborative. And here you are doing things in a more collaborative way and thriving. Yeah.
You know, Stephanie, it's interesting because I sold at least 4 houses this year that I'd never seen, never even opened the door, never been to. And prior to COVID, that was not something that I ever thought could have been possible, right? So when COVID shut us down, it really made me think differently. And I realized, my value is not running around going to look at a house. My value is putting a situation together and working through a problem. And I can do that from anywhere.
That's wonderful. Is this a time for real estate agents, people who are already in the business, to start doing things a different way? Like, is this a good time for a shift in the industry?
If we don't, right? Because we've seen in the real estate industry the rise of iBuyers, or people that were doing things electronically, and so it's either you shift the way you do business or you're out of business, right? There's not a lot of gray area, and especially for those of us who are over 50, that's difficult because we're used to always being physically present, right? You have to find a way to still be physically present without having to physically be present. And that has kind of been my work. And so when you're at the beach for 3 weeks, you can sit back and you can say, how do I do this?
Yeah.
I really want to go for a walk on the beach every day, but I still do like selling real estate so I can support being able to walk on the beach every day. How do I do that?
Mhm.
Right? But if you're always in it, always in it, always in it, you're not thinking about ways to do it more efficiently.
Right. All right. So I've linked to your YouTube channel. So, friends, if you're watching the replay, the link to Tisha's YouTube channel is in the description of this video. All right. And friends, it's here in the chat. So we've linked to her YouTube channel and her Instagram so that you can stay connected, learn what she's teaching, and watch her thrive. Out here just thriving. I take credit.
You should. You should be right there at the top. And then Rashida's talking to me about my money. I'm like, oh, do I have that together? Yeah, I got that. So I'm having that conversation on more than one level. The two of you are definitely a dynamic duo.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we love what we do. We love being able to see um, see the transformation, see the change that happens in women. And like I said, like I didn't know Tisha before the summit, but I saw her in the summit 2020. I saw her in the summit and immediately after. And I'm like, I feel really good about this. This is a summit I want to keep having, right? We had, a handful of
Absolutely.
women who, the Perks Pack, we called you guys the Perks Pack, right? We had some women from the
Mhm.
Perks Pack who just took off and were like, I trust what you guys are telling me. I trust that this is a thing that is right for, and it's a dream that I had for myself anyway. And then y'all just took off and were like, okay, now I'm living my whole life. I wrote that down. Live your whole, you're going to hear me saying that a lot, right? Live your whole life because we don't. We don't. We're
Live your
not.
life your whole life.
Live your
Live
life.
your life your whole life.
All right, let me write it the right way. Okay, right? Yeah, I'm so glad to see you doing it. I'm so glad you came to talk with us about it.
Thank having me. I just, this has been so life changing and so transformational for me. I'm just honored to be able to have the opportunity just to share just a snippet. Because sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough. When I see these ladies that have sold their houses packed up and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm moving too slow, right? Um, but each of us had, and there's another local realtor here that actually did go, I think, to Italy for her sabbatical, and she and I, corresponded and about that. So I am loving seeing other women do it as well because when I see someone else do it, that means I can do it too.
That's right. That's right. That's right. There's nothing like the visual to it seeps into your brain, right? It really does seep into your brain and can reprogram your brain, right? You can
Yeah.
reprogram your brain to believe that new things are possible and to get those things for yourself. I believe that. And some of that is just seeing it in other people. If you're a person who has in the past seen other people living their lives and thriving and felt jealousy, okay, you can transform that jealousy into reprogramming your brain to say, I want this. That's a signal that I want this and that I can have this. She is living proof that I can have this. I believe that.
I want to touch on this too, just in case there's someone who gets discouraged about house sitting. I have applied for
Mm,
dozens of sits. Like I don't get picked for all of them. I get rejected less now than in the past,
mhm.
but I think I had applied for at least 2 dozen sits before I was picked for the first
Okay.
one.
Okay.
I just kept going. So I don't want anybody going into this thinking it's going to be easy and it's just keep doing it.
Right.
Just keep doing it. I mean, and coming from sales, it's a numbers game.
Yes.
If I get the right number,
Yes.
somebody got to say yes,
Yes.
right? And I just kind of keep that attitude. It's like, what's for me is for me,
Mhm.
but if I don't apply, I won't get it.
That's right.
And I don't and I've had times where, I've applied for two of them around the same time frame and one, homeowner was slow getting back to me. It's like, sorry, but I've already, booked another sit during that time.
Yeah.
And you're always respectful of that and looking forward to what comes next. But just keep doing it. And you're gonna fail, but
Mhm.
fail forward.
Yes, that's right. That's right. We talk like there are women in the chat right now talking about house sits. I booked a house sit. I'm on a house sit, right? But you don't get every house sit. I don't get every
Mm.
house sit. I think I'm the queen of house sitting and the Black Cinderella. Okay, and I don't get every house sit that I apply for. Keep going. Keep applying. You've paid for your membership, so you might as well get your money's worth. Speaking of paying for your membership, I have the link to the new house sitter toolkit and the link to Trusted House Sitters. I'll make sure they're in the description of this video too, right? So if we've convinced you, okay, and you're ready to get some free accommodation from house sitting, get my new house sitter toolkit, housesit.vicarious.com/toolkit. And in that toolkit, you'll find the letter that Tisha's talking about, the letter that you use to apply for house sits. It's a pitch letter that works, right? It's a
Same
pitch
one
email.
over and over.
Yeah. It's a pitch email that gets people to say yes. All right. So that is in the toolkit. Of course, my affiliate link to Trusted House Sitters is in the toolkit so that you can sign up for Trusted House Sitters. And it's not going to cost you anything extra, but I get a little cut. So thanks for that. All right. So all of that is in the new House Sitter toolkit at housesit.vicarious.com/toolkit. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Yes, that's right. But we don't get every house sit. Uh, and we still do it. It's wonderful. There's nothing like it. I feel like a genius. I feel like a genius when I get free
I feel like you're a genius. I do.
when I get free accommodation somewhere, right? I'm paying for this. I'm in Costa Rica. I'm paying for this place, right? Man, I could be in this for free if I had found a house sit in time, right? I feel like a genius, and I don't know. I'm not turning back. There's no turning back for me.
Good, good, good. I love it. I love it. Me either. Like me either, because now I know that there is an unconventional way to do everything. It's
Yes.
just figure it out. Figure it out.
Figure it out and get in community with other people where it seems normal. If you're doing something that is abnormal, you need to be in a place and get some messaging, reminders that like it's normal to these people. It's not normal to you, but it is normal to these people. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And even bigger than you figuring it out, just like you say, Stephanie, get with somebody who's already figured it out,
right.
right? In this community, somebody's done it already. Just ask the question.
That's right. That's it. That's it. Okay. Anything that you feel like we didn't cover that you wanted to cover?
No, I just what I will tell you is that I went into this journey into Exodus summit in distress, really,
Mm,
for a lack of better terms, in distress and in a really, really bad time in my life. And through this group and through traveling and through house sitting, I have slowly, over the past couple years, transformed my life into one that I love,
yes.
that I'm excited to be a part of, and that I look forward to sharing the journey with other women. Because without this community, I don't know that I could have done the things that I've done on my own.
Mm.
And I thank you, Rashida, for that.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And thank you for being such a wonderful part of the Exodus Summit community. I can't tell you how much I love to watch you out here living. So thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
doing that and for sharing and for reaching out to and connecting with other women inside of the Exodus Summit community. One more time, let me drop the link to the Exodus Summit community. If you're a Black woman looking to travel more, if you're a Black woman looking to take a sabbatical or a career break, looking to move abroad, or looking to bop around as a nomad, join the Exodus Summit community. It's us, right? The same women who have been in this chat and who have been so wonderful today are the same women in the community. You'll get to, make friends, like real friends, with women who are into the things that you're into. So welcome, join us, okay? Welcome. All right, and then in the community, you'll find out about the actual summit. Okay, the summit, it is an annual summit, and you'll be able to find out about the actual summit. You can go back and watch some of the sessions that, not some of, you can go back and watch the previous year's sessions, to, start on your own transformation. We are people who have transformed our lives, but we're not like superpowered superheroes with some sort of, we're just women, right? We're just people who made a decision and took some action and made changes to live the life that we want to live and are continuing to do that. It's not a done deal. Yeah. Yeah, and that can be you. There's no it can be you. There's no reason for us to get something and you not to get it. It's not a zero sum game. Okay. All right. So I've linked to every place that I know of where you can follow Tisha on the internet. I've linked to her Instagram and her YouTube channel. Keep in touch with her so you can continue to learn from her. All right. And Tisha, please keep in touch with us so we can continue to see what's happening and keep us updated on your sabbatical.
I will. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, friends, for joining us in the chat. Thank you so much for being this was wonderful. It went so quickly. But thank you very much for coming in and joining and talking with us about your experiences and sharing and being so open and giving with us. I appreciate you so much.
It was an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on. Okay, bye, friends.